It is once again time for the Q4 Shareholders Meeting. Let's go! Obviously, last year I did one of these at the end of the year around this time, right before the sort of crack of December. And I wanted to do it again because I found it to be productive / helpful. And I have some stats to share, and some of them are going to be disappointing to you. And some of them are going to be nice and fine to hear. It has been a wild year, my friends. And as stakeholders in this channel, obviously you're a viewer. So you're a view holder, a coined term that is now real. I feel that it's obviously productive to make sure that I'm being transparent, that I'm telling you the stats, I'm telling you the things that worked in 2025, so I can move into 2026 in a nice way that is fine and fair. So welcome to the Q4 project report. If someone can take notes, that would serve. Before we even get into the meat and potatoes of this video, I want to say that MILESMAS has begun. MILESMAS is starting now. We did it last year, we're doing it again, and it's basically I release a piece of content every single Monday through Friday, and that goes until Crimmy. That goes until Christmas. Some of these are gonna be YouTube videos, some of these are gonna be live streams, some of these are gonna be on the Slop channel, some of these are gonna be exclusive to Patreon, just one time a week on Fridays. That is considered part of the MILESMAS because Lord knows I've got 2 kids and I can only make a certain amount of new content. But I want you guys to be psyched about it, so more about MILESMAS later, and then we'll do the video, and then we'll do the MILESMAS thing after. Crazy year, guys. Lots of ups, lots of downs. My lovely wife gave birth to our second baby, so like personally, it was a super exciting year for me. My son's also almost 3, so he's kind of getting wild on it. I just showed him Pokemon recently. It was like Pokemon Concierge. There's a stop motion. This is not an ad for Pokemon. Anyway, the point is, he's a little boy now and it's really fun. Last year when I did this, I did sort of like a halfway point on the 62 episodes I started when I was still working at Try Guys and like when it was a side hustle, and then the 62 afterwards because it was kind of a nice halfway marker. But this year, we're a freaking megacorp, okay? So we're going by the books 2024 versus 2025. So to begin the status report, the project report, we're gonna start by talking about Perfect Person, my podcast. In 2024, the Perfect Person YouTube channel had about 6.8 million views in the 2024 period, which is like astounding and super exciting. And it had doubled, more than doubled from the year before, from 2023. So like already we're serving, okay? Already we are shooting off and we're at 10,000 feet and they're serving Cokes and Pepsis. Can you imagine? Both Coke and Pepsi on a plane? Now that's an airline. The data for 2025 is not complete yet because obviously we're about to hit December, and sometimes the episodes that come out in December are like the most popular of the year. So it's kind of hard to tell. However, even though that is true, and I have a couple banger episodes I know are gonna perform super, super well, so far in 2025, the Perfect Person YouTube channel has amassed 12.6 million views, baby. That is crazy. That is a crazy level of like doubling, tripling down on what I thought was possible for this. And I want to say, like, obviously, thank you for watching the show. Thank you for watching the freaking YouTube shorts on him. Okay? Stunting on the YouTube shorts on him. So like the show is doing better than ever and I'm super psyched about that. I say this kind of every year, but like my main thing about making content is that I feel, I've seen a lot of people get into trouble with like a growth mentality, and that every year you have to, and people are like this with any goal. It's like, oh, growth mentality, like next year I want to do twice as well or whatever. And something me and Ashley talk about kind of a lot, my producer Ashley, I'm always like, I'd love to sustain. My goal is not necessarily to grow, but to hold the line. So 2026, I'm like, that's great, baby. Let's stay. Let's just stay. Let's hover. Hover, baby, hummingbird style. So that's super, super exciting, obviously, and it's thanks to you, the view holders, for making that possible. I think that's a crazy level of growth. I think the audience, and I've gotten more comments recently that are like this, that we have adopted people from other communities. This obviously was true in 2024 when I was trying to, do my method of like have a bunch of guests on from a certain community, and then I can acquire some of the people who watch them on, the audience of this show. And I think that has worked really successfully, and they've stuck around. And I think that has continued to like be true as I've collaborated more and more with like people from Smosh or more from people from Dropout and Try Guys, etc. The internet can feel like a big giant, party, and you're standing there with a punch and you don't know who to talk to sometimes. And I think I felt that way especially when I first started like my business full time. But now I'm starting to feel like, okay, it's a big, big party. And actually, I was invited here, and when I get here, people are like, hey, what's good, Miles? I consider myself a master storyteller. So that's Perfect Person on YouTube. Downloads-wise, the numbers are like consistent as ever. Slow growth there too, which I think is super exciting. But the metrics are different with downloads. You know, audio listeners in the chat, drop an A on them. For real. For the Perfect Person Patreon, we currently have 162 platinum episodes behind the paywall that if you join right now, you can go peep. All the live episodes are on there. A bunch of just like special twists on the format are on there. And we're about to come out with our like best callers of 2025 with callbacks episode. At the end of the year, we always do like the 3 best callers, but all the callbacks from like the most iconic callers of the year are all on Patreon. And the newsletter of it all. Extra, read all about it. I started a newsletter. I kind of wanted a place to put writing. And I've always thought of myself as somebody that's like, oh yeah, one day maybe I'll write a book. And there was like a while where I was kind of pitching out a book and I was like, well, whatever. And I don't necessarily think of myself as like the most confident writer. But I used to write a lot. And so the newsletter is kind of a fun way, and it's free. The newsletter is free. It's on Patreon, but it is like, if you're a free member on Patreon, you still get the newsletter. It's a nice way for me to kind of write out articles and essays about my life for things that don't feel like they belong on a podcast or a YouTube video. On the first one, I wrote about how I was sort of a witness in a trial for dogs during the LA fire. Touring! Brought the show on tour once again. We did 16 live shows in 2025 proper, but I think the more interesting stat is that October to October, we did 28 live shows, which is insane. It was a joy touring. Obviously now I'm sort of a international businessman traveling all around. TSA pre-check? Yeah, I've heard of it. And I got a credit card that allows me to go into the Delta Sky Club sometimes. And every time I go, I'm just as wowed as the first time I went. I'm like, there's food here and I can have that. Coffee? Sure. Maybe I'm just like an easy mark, but I am very impressed by like stuff like that. And speaking of that, we released the tour documentary we shot last year. I said in the last earnings report that I was supposed to release it in the spring. Didn't happen. Obviously didn't happen. But that is totally fair considering it was like 42 hours of footage and just me and Ashley editing it. I think we made something really fucking cool. I had not worked on anything long form like that. Like this is the first feature length documentary that I've ever directed, obviously. And I think we made something like better than the sum of its parts. So the documentary was a big part of the year. In addition to that, we also released the Bachelor live special last night for Love in Las Vegas. And that obviously is less sincere than the documentary, but I am maybe equally proud of it. It's a live comedy special where people are on stage like doing this dating show, but then we intercut these interstitials that are like mockumentary style of 3 guys who were in Vegas looking for love. And we made something so fucking funny. The whole time we were shooting it, I was pissing my pants. That's good. I memean, god damn it, guys. Sorry. That was so loud. We shot most of it at 3 a.m, and I like, it just had this magic energy of like, you get a bunch of friends together and we were all improvising and making this really fun thing. And I highly recommend you guys check that out. That is in the Patreon subscription. The documentary you can rent on Patreon currently. I'm constantly pushing the limits of like, what can we get away with making? And I think that Patreon and the audience in general have just been very supportive of us trying to experiment and make cool stuff. I can see a world where you would get pigeonholed and only want to make like one specific type of content. And I feel that we've pushed the boundary of what we can make and what we're excited about making and been able to do that in a cheap enough way that we can get away with like a lot. And man, that's the best feeling, to be able to get away with a lot. Me on trial for murder be like. So that's Perfect Person. Everything's going great with that. Now I feel that I have to come clean. You know, last year I talked a lot about how I wanted to make YouTube videos. And I started a channel called Millie Slop. That was my secondary channel in honor of MILESMAS. And I posted one video. I posted 2 videos on YouTube this year. One was about the tripod ending, and the other one was like a video I made in January. And then I just got busy. And Millie Slop, I didn't post on anything. And even though we started this new channel and it like started to do well, and I didn't do it, I dropped it. It's hard, man. And I that's like, you know, I was looking at my YouTube channel, I'm like, dang, the analytics went off a cliff because I stopped posting. So that's like maybe my goal for 2026 is actually commit to making YouTube videos and actually be like, what does it look like if I add this to my schedule? And sustainably, like what does it look like if we shoot a video on Friday, we edit it, whatever. Because that's like a big passion of mine, is I like making YouTube videos, but I have not been able to flex that muscle recently. As a view holder, you should be ashamed of me. A's in the chat for ashamed. I also just launched this coffee company, Perfect Person Coffee Co. It just came out like last week. It's Saturday. I launched it on Wednesday. It's crazy. Guys, sometimes life is crazy. But it's been going super well. Like everyone's been very supportive and nice about it. People have been buying the coffee. We are 95% sold out. So, and this is on Saturday, so it might be sold out by the time this comes out on Monday. Thank you to everyone who's been buying the coffee. I think for a long time I've been wanting to get back into the coffee world and the coffee shop world. It's a fucking meme that I was a barista. I've talked about it forever. But the coffee is exciting to me because it's a way to get back into that world and a way to get back into that world like in a sustainable way. It's just basically like I reached out to these guys who run this roastery in LA, and these guys are actually the same guys who ran the roastery at the first coffee shop I worked at in New York City 10 years ago. I have plans in the new year to do like a coffee club. One of the fun things I wanted to do also was like every bag has a QR code and it's a different monthly video that gets printed on the bag that's like exclusive to the coffee club. And so I thought that was exciting, and it sold out and did super well, and it was all kind of an experiment. I heard this thing on some podcast recently about, you know, making sure you're failing often enough, which is totally stupid and maybe like hustle brained, but I like that only in that I'm like, I want to take big swings, I want to experiment with stuff even if it doesn't work. And so far, thank you to you guys, but every time I've taken some dumb swing or tried to experiment, it has seemingly been okay. My goal is to like do a barista content program such that like I can hire currently working baristas to make content for the Perfect Person coffee channels. Because I remember when I was a barista, like all I wanted to do was make content or get paid to make content. And I'm like, if I can basically find talented, charming baristas who are good on camera and pay them wherever they are in the country, send them coffee, send them gear, whatever it is, and then get those people who are in the world of coffee, who are gonna be way better at talking about coffee, talking about what's popular in the culture than I am currently outside. I haven't worked in a coffee shop in, 7 years or 8 years. So it's like, I think that is something I'm super excited about doing in 2026, is like bringing in people who are working in coffee to like make this a cool brand, make this something that, has sustainability, etc. So if you're a barista, hit me up. All of this brings me to MILESMAS. We are about to get locked and loaded, babe. Okay? I did this last year, I'm doing it again. I want to release a shit ton of content, and I think we're going to be kind of live stream forward this year. I will put kind of like an outline of the different MILESMAS days down below. Wednesdays are going to be Perfect Person. Fridays are going to be Perfect Person Platinum on Patreon. And Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, I'm going to be outputting new things. Sometimes it'll be live streams. Sometimes it's YouTube videos. Sometimes it'll be Millie Slopness. You know what I mean? Sometimes it'll be me getting wild playing video games on a new YouTube channel. Who knows? But wanted to celebrate the end of the year by making a bunch of some fun, special stuff. And also, saying thank you. You guys invest in me as view holders, and I want to invest back in you by giving you free stuff to watch while you eat lunch. Thank you for joining me for the Q4 Project Report as a view holder, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.